I was a stock boy. I remember it. And I washed dishes. I did whatever it took. I took the jobs that other people wouldn't take because I didn't care. Remember, back then when I was a teenager, I wanted that bike. So I did whatever I could do to earn to have that bicycle. The purple Lotus bicycle, bluish purple, that I still have upstairs. Okay? Now, what's the lessons in this?
Today I'm going to introduce you to this one man. You're going to be introduced to David Asarnow. He's the CEO of Business Nitrogen, and I'm going to introduce you to him. Guys, I am ready to take notes. I am ready to learn. So, hey guys, are you all ready for David? If you're ready for David, type in ready. Let me see the comments flow. If you're ready for David, type in David. Type in ready if you're ready for David. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on now. Yo, you ready for David? So, without further ado, my friends, without further ado, let me welcome my business mentor, David Asarnow. David.
Hey there.
Hey man, David. Guys, have a look. This is David. This is David Asarnow. And David, it's good to have you here. And it's so good to introduce you to all my friends, all my team, everybody here as well. Everybody's watching on Facebook. Everybody's watching on Zoom. Hey guys, what's happening? If you're watching this, my man, is David.
Well, David. Well, happy Sunday night, everyone. Happy July 5th.
Hey, David, I wanted to wish you, yesterday was July 4th. It's Independence Day and everything, right?
It is. It was a very interesting Independence Day for us over in the States. Yeah. Being on lockdown, there weren't many fireworks. And yet we got to spend some time with family, which is the most important thing you can do.
Absolutely. Guys, how many of y'all agree there? You see, the reason why, I completely resonated with David is because for him, family always comes first. And he doesn't just say it. He really means it, right? He's like, Resh, I got to go. My wife is calling.
Very true.
Right. So guys, for those of y'all who don't know, we've spent, 5 a.m. calls and stuff like that, all of it over the last week and stuff. And David, it's been, to me, I don't know how you felt, but, I felt that, nothing happens everything happens for a reason. So I believe, and I believe that, me meeting you was divine. It was crazy, man. I felt that instant connection. It was nuts, right? But David, can I ask you one question, brother?
You can ask me whatever you like.
I want to ask you one question, man. Like, see, sometimes I don't see my own self. I can't, so what was one thing about me that, made you like, hey man, I want to work with this guy or whatever not?
You have a passion and energy and excitement about you and how you deliver, how you serve, what you're doing today. I mean, you mentioned a bunch of things earlier. One, you got to plant seeds, right? Okay, if anyone is listening to this, one of the things that I started talking about this, he's like, I say that all the time. I say you got to plant seeds. So over the years, for the past 30-something years, I've had people ask me, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're not getting anything out of it. I'm like, I'm planting seeds. But it's not just planting seeds. You talked about a few things today, okay? Even before you opened, you had some, by the way, I want your playlist. I love your playlist that you had. There was a song that was going on, and it sounds like a Disney song, actually. I didn't know what it was. But they were talking about dreams. Okay, A Million Dreams, Share Your Dreams, that song that you were playing before you went live today. And so I want you to hear this right now. No matter where you are, dreams are important. Dreams help give you hope. Dreams help create the vision on the impact that you want to make in the world. And yet, there's one thing that means more than anything else. Dream without action. Dreams without action is just an illusion. So no matter what you want to create in your life, no matter what seeds that you're planting, have a clear vision on that impact that you want to create. Take action. Take consistent action, because I can tell you over the last 30 years that one of the biggest challenges and obstacles in the people that I've seen and I've observed is they get really excited in the beginning. Whatever it is that they're going to do. I don't care if it's trading. I don't care if it's being an entrepreneur. I don't care if it's starting a business. They have a dream. They have a vision. And then challenges come up. Failures come up. Here's the thing. Fail forward fast. That's it. The more failures you have, the closer you are to success. Most people quit on their dreams. Resh was talking about, God. God is your CEO. God is in your corner. The only person that's going to quit is you. So whatever vision, whatever dream, whatever belief that you have, continue moving forward because you will eventually achieve it.
Absolutely amazing. Guys, for those of you all who don't know David, let me just share with you something, right? Let me just read you some of his stuff, right? So like David, again, he is the highest award-winning ClickFunnels certified consultant. For you all who don't know what the 2 Comma Club is, 2 Comma Club is awarded entrepreneurs who achieve $1 million through a sales funnel. He's been awarded 7 of them and an 8-figure award, which is for $10 million. Guys, this dude has, just last year, he's managed over $24 million in paid digital advertising. He's created massive value through his digital marketing agency, Business Nitrogen. He's an MBA in business results. Dude, he's built a $45 million division for a company over 5 years. Amen. His resume is just nuts. It's crazy, right? Like the first time I saw him, I saw his awards and stuff, and I was like, whoa, this guy is legit. And by the way, guys, I don't know how many of you all know this book. ClickFunnels actually released this book called 30 Days, right? 30 days. If you lost every single thing, if you lost everything and started from scratch, what would you do? And what they got was they got a whole bunch of the best entrepreneurs to write what would they do if they started from scratch. And David was one of them who wrote a chapter. I read the thing. It was absolutely mind-blowing. It was great, right? So guys, get the book, go and read the book and go read David's chapter. It's called 30 Days. Can all of you type in 30 days? All right, 30 days. And that's David. It's crazy, man. So again, David, thank you for being here. But I want to share with you something, right? See, all of us see the accolades and we see all the awards and we're like, cool. But hey, what was his story? How did he get started? Who was David when he was a boy? Can you tell us that?
How did I get started? Where do you want to begin? Seriously, where do you want to begin?
I want to begin when you were a kid. Did you have this entrepreneurial fire in you? Like, do you grow up in poverty? Like, tell us, man. Tell us like when you were a child.
I didn't look at it. First of all, I didn't look at it that way. The things that shaped me. Did I grow up in poverty? No. Did I have money to go buy what I wanted? No, not unless I went out and earned it, even from a young age. So when I was probably about 6, 7, I'd go knock on people's doors to go rake leaves in the fall. I would shovel driveways. I'd say, let me shovel your driveway, pay me whatever you want to pay me. I didn't have a set fee. Some people went out and babysat to make money. I still have my first bike that I bought for myself. Okay, I was 14 years old. I'm 51 now. I still have the bike. It means something to me. Why? I wanted it. I was told that, we didn't have the money. So I went and I got a job. A job being I went out and I raked leaves. I mowed lawns. I shoveled driveways. I did whatever I could do in order to earn what I wanted. But the story begins before that. And I was just sharing this with someone yesterday. We have the rich dad, poor dad, right? My 2 grandfathers were very big inspirations for me. I used to hear stories about when my grandfather, he was an attorney, and yet he and my grandmother lived in a trailer. And when you look at it, they grew up with the mentality that they became very wealthy, by the way. Didn't necessarily give it down to the kids. They just said that the kids had to work and earn their own. And my grandfather, what he did is he put in time. He was a real estate attorney, and he'd put in his time for free. He'd do legal work for free. Instead of getting paid, he would take a percentage of the building. He would get a percentage of the real estate transaction or deal. And so he became ownership through doing that. By the way, I have an agency that we have ownership in a bunch of companies. I'll call it sort of like a private equity fund, but I call it my entrepreneurial incubator. Same concept. I do it with businesses. My grandfather did it with real estate. My other grandfather worked his entire life in corporate America until he was 50 years old. My grandmother was 49. My grandfather was 50. And they had always wanted, now, by the way, at that time, I was 3 years old. Okay, so I was a little kid. And yet, I was spending back then just as much time with my grandparents or more than I was with my parents as a little kid. They'd pick me up. I'd spend the days with my grandmother, my grandfather. They sold everything and they moved to Florida. And even though I was only 3, I remember, and I can feel it in my heart, how hard it was that like the person that you're seeing every single day all of a sudden disappears. But what happened was there's a couple things that came out of it. One is, and I look back on it now, this is what really shaped me. This is what really created an impact. Is I started, my grandparents would fly me down, bring me down to Florida where they started this business. And it taught me that no matter where you are, no matter what age you are, you can start over. You just have to have belief. You talked about it. You have to have belief. You have to have belief in yourself. You have to have a belief in the vision. You have to have a belief in the people that you're attracting in your team. I believe that you need to have a belief in God. And so what happened is, you know, I started going to work. I started doing the things that no one, I mean, as a 4-year-old kid, I'm sitting there in my grandfather's office. I'm going on sales calls with him, right? I'm cleaning the bathrooms. Why? No one else wanted to clean up the bathrooms. My grandfather knew that if he asked me to do anything, I would. He had ended up having a home health care business where they deliver wheelchairs to people who needed wheelchairs in their home, hospital beds, oxygen. And so he'd send me back to clean the wheelchairs all the time until I was a teenage kid. I'd go on hospital bed deliveries. Here's the thing, I learned a lot about people. I'd go into a really nice house. They didn't know. I mean, I looked like a young delivery boy going with all the people making deliveries in the panel van that he had and everything. We'd go in a really nice house, and I watched how people treated us. I'd go to a trailer park, and people were so nice. They even gave us a tip, and they're living in a trailer park, and I'm sitting there, and I talked to my grandfather. This was like an opportunity. At the end of every day, he'd ask me, "What did you learn? What did you see?" And I told him the experience. He said, it teaches you, by seeing how people are treating you, it will teach you how to treat other people. And I was a young kid. So what happened? I did have an opportunity to take over that business, my grandfather's business, when I was 17 years old. He was sick with cancer. He was scared. He asked me one thing. And by the way, this is the only time that I can really look at and say that fear, false evidence appearing real, held me back. My grandfather offered me to take over his business. He just asked one thing. Should something happen to him, he asked me to take care of my grandmother for the rest of her life. And I was scared. I was 17 years old, and that was a lot of responsibility. I didn't have the belief in myself at that time. I didn't have the confidence in myself. I didn't have the certainty that I could do whatever it took in order to make sure that my grandmother was taken care of. He ended up selling the business. He kept it in the family. So my uncle bought the business. It's still in the family. My youngest cousin on that side of the family has bought out his parents now. Still in the family. And yet the lessons that I learned in that, I still carry to this day. The lessons that I learned growing up shaped me. I'll give you an example. When I was about 14 years old, I got paid. I don't remember what I was paid. It wasn't much. And yet that summer when my grandfather picked me up from the airport and drove me into the office, he said, "This summer is going to be different." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'm not paying you anything. I have a wheelchair. It's an electric wheelchair that was imported, and it's been sitting here for over a year. I want it sold. I want you to sell it this summer. If you sell this wheelchair this summer, I will pay you whatever you sell it for above its cost. If you sell it below cost, you won't make anything. If you sell it at cost, you won't make anything. I will pay you whatever you sell it above cost." Now, here's the thing. I showed that wheelchair to everyone. I became an expert on that wheelchair. I showed it to people who didn't need a wheelchair, but I thought it was cool. Here's the thing, by the end of the summer, and I still have a photo to this day of me with that wheelchair. Why? Because my grandfather wanted to teach me a lesson. He wanted to teach me that you don't just show up and get paid. You have to create value. You have to do something that the business needs, that the company needs. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the business. It doesn't matter if you're an employee in a company. You need to start thinking like an entrepreneur. Now, what does that mean? You only sow you reap what you sow, and you grow. And so it was a big lesson, because one of the things that when I was in corporate America for 12 years before I left and started businesses, right? One of the things that I excelled in corporate America. Now, am I smarter than others? I don't know if I'm smarter than others. Here's what I can tell you. I have a belief in myself. I have a belief in the vision that whatever it is that I cast out, and I will work harder in order to make it happen, and I won't quit. So what happened is, when I was in corporate America, I started acting as what I would call today an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur within the company. And the lessons, whether it was me when I was shoveling driveways, raking leaves, my first job was washing dishes at a restaurant. My first job, I lied about my age because I wanted to get the job. So I lied about my age so that way I'd be old enough to be hired. And I washed dishes so I could get paid. That's it. Then I became a stock boy. Like a giant, like a Walmart, Sam's Club type place. I was a stock boy. I remember it. And I washed dishes. I did whatever it took. I took the jobs that other people wouldn't take because I didn't care. Remember, back then when I was a teenager, I wanted that bike. So I did whatever I could do to have that bicycle. The purple Lotus bicycle, bluish purple, that I still have upstairs. Okay. Now, what's the lessons in this? Whatever it is that you want, you can have, but you've got to work differently. You've got to think differently. You need to be willing to do things that other people aren't. You need to look at and stop looking at give, instead of going out and saying, I'll create. I will do whatever it takes that's honorable, that's ethical, that's legal, in order to create whatever I want. And that's it. You and I talked, Resh, about a quote from Bruce Lee. Remember?
Oh, yes, of course.
So here's the quote, everyone. And I want you to think about this. Okay? Bruce Lee. This is what Bruce Lee said. I'm going to ask you all a question. I want you to answer this in the chat after I read this to you. I, Bruce Lee, will be the highest paid, greatest superstar in the United States. In return, I will give the most exciting performances and render the best in quality to my capacity as an actor. Starting in 1970, I will achieve world fame. And from then onward, until the end of 1980, I will have in my possession $10 million. I will live the way I please and achieve inner harmony and happiness. Bruce Lee. When did Bruce Lee make this proclamation? Type it in. Type it in. I see 1970. I see 1970. 1969. 1969. A year before he became famous. 67. 69. No. He made this proclamation a decade. He knew what he was going to become. He knew that vision. 10 years before we all saw him become the greatest of all time. Before we saw him touch the world. He saw it in his head. He believed it. He planted seeds. He planted the seeds of exactly what he wanted. He planted the seeds of the vision he was going to create. And guess what he did? He took consistent action. Do you think he was an overnight success? No. He's probably one of the extras that he had met many of, thousands of extras in his films first. Yet he became everything that he put down 10 years earlier. So the question I ask is, what do you want to achieve? What do you believe? Here's the thing. If you need right now some extra income, great. You can earn some extra income. You can create what I call a side hustle. If you're working in a job right now, by the way, how many of you have a job right now? Type I, just write I. Okay. How many of you who have a job right now want to create something that maybe 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road will create the freedom that you want? Say me, me. Oh, look at those me's. Okay, you've got to get clear. You need to get clear on what it is you want to create. You need to get clear on the lives you want to touch. You need to get clear on the impact that you're going to be able to create in other people. See, I want to tell you something. Bruce Lee's $10 million, and by the way, in 1980, $10 million is a lot today. You can live the rest of your life just on the interest on $10 million without doing anything. $10 million in 1980 was a lot more money even. Okay? But money is just a measurement on the number of lives you impact. So if you want to touch people's lives, if you want to change the world, if you want to change your world and your family's world, you need to get clear on what it is you want to do. Get very focused in on what you want to do. And you need to think about it when you lie down and when you rise up. So Resh said something else earlier today. He mentioned that he doesn't believe anything happens by accident. Okay? Yes? Everyone remember that. I believe that everything happens on purpose. I'm going to reframe that. Instead of nothing happens by accident, everything happens on purpose. It happens on intention. Okay? I'll give you an example. And the reason I'm going to take I believe that the turning point, listen, I've always done well. Once I put my mind to it, I pretty much have always been one of the top in everything that I did. Okay? When I ran hurdles, when I ran track and ran the 400 and 110 hurdles in high school, I was good. One of the top point scorers, in my high school. When I started in corporate America, I excelled. Why? It's interesting. I remember a conversation that I had with someone my first year in business. And I won't say the guy's last name, but I remember his name, Greg. And I remember him telling me, you work too damn hard. He said, you work too damn hard. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, you need to work smart. You could accomplish what you're doing probably in about 4 hours a day. And I said, I appreciate your insight, but the reason that I'm going to kick everyone else's ass is because not only am I willing to work smart, I'm willing to work hard. Imagine the compound effect of that. And so we have to remember that whatever it is that we create, we set the intentions for. So I used the Bruce Lee model, and I'll tell you this Bruce Lee model that I read to you and how that created sort of a launch pad, an acceleration of sorts. So I believe that we are connected every single day with people that we should meet. We are given the opportunity to become part of something that we should become part of. But the question is, do we allow ourselves to see it? Do we allow ourselves to openly embrace that person who shows up? Those of you who are in Team Resh, you've opened that opportunity. You stepped into the promise that you have for yourself. And you've chosen Resh as a mentor, a guide of sorts, right? But the question is, do we see it? So many times we don't. We're sitting there on an airplane. We put our headphones on. We sit here on an airplane. We put our headphones on. No, I can't hear you. We sit there on an airplane. We put our blinders on, and we go through life that way. By the way, on an airplane, I usually don't speak with people. You want me to tell you about the opportunity? I'm going to tell you something first. I'm going to tell you how my business started. Okay? So I tell people so many times the most important time in your day is when you go to bed and when you rise up. The last things you say, the last things you think about before you go to bed, your mind will process 7 times more. Now, if you believe that God's your inner CEO, that God is your guide, then I'm going to give you something that I think could be transformational. And here's how I know it could be so transformational. When I was a trainer and coach for Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes, I used to run an 8-week business training course. And I threw my own things in there, such as what I'm talking about right now. In fact, I started week 1. I ended week 1 with exactly what we're talking about right now. Why? Because I didn't want to just teach people some business strategies. I wanted to set them up for success. I wanted to give them a game plan, a tool that they could do every single day that would change everything for them. So here's how I had them write their goals. And here's what I want you to think about. What I'm going to do, if you do this for the next 30 days, every day, morning and night, you will be a different person 30 days from now. I can guarantee that. You'll have different people in your life. You'll be at a different place in the vision. You'll be a different place in the certainty and the belief that you have in yourself for what it is you want to create. So, first of all, I'll call it the goal achiever process. You ready? Write this down. By X date or sooner, I will achieve Y or greater. You fill in the blank. By X date or sooner, I will achieve Y or greater. Why? Why is this so important, and why is it different? Because most people write down a goal, by X I will achieve this. Here's what happens in our unconscious mind. As we start moving towards it, if we don't start seeing progress on that specific date, and it starts becoming unbelievable, even at an unconscious level, we start coming up with reasons and excuses on why it's not going to happen. So we say, or sooner. That means it can happen at any time. We can have logic leaps. We can have amazing transformations in a very short period of time. I will achieve Y or greater. Then add this in. This is what I believe, but I'm open to achieving something even more. This is what I believe, but I'm open to achieving something even more. Okay, why? Sometimes the things that show up in our life are not exactly what we're looking for. I'll say that again. Sometimes the things that show up in our life are not exactly what we're looking for. They could be even greater blessings. It may not be the exact blessing you were looking for. It could be something here, but it could be greater because this is going to lead you up even higher. So you've got to be open to seeing the opportunity, and not being open to seeing the opportunity, willing to step into that opportunity, willing to step into the promise that God has for you. Okay? Then, continue your writing. I, state your name, your name, will X. Whatever it is. In return, I will give Y in my greatest capacity as whatever it is that you're doing. This is the Bruce Lee process. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can modify something and add. I'm going to add some things to what Bruce Lee did that I believe will help you. Okay? Starting X, I will blank or greater And from onward till Z, I will have in my possession whatever that is. Then I'm going to add something in here. God, please connect me with the people that I need to be connected to. Introduce me to the people I need to meet. Connect me right now so that they show up in my life. And when I show up in my life, give me a sign. Make that sign so clear, it's as if you just knocked me upside the head, so that way I do not miss this sign. Thank you. Write that down every night and read it to yourself. Literally, rewrite. Rewrite. Do not type. Write with your hands. There's something that happens when you write that then connects it through your arm and into your brain and creates that impact. So here's the thing. I learned this about 15 plus years ago, maybe more, this little process that I added in there, 15 plus years ago. I modified it to, by the way, if you don't, if you have a guardian angel, whoever it is, I say, God, connect me to the people that I need to be connected with. Let me know that these are the people. Show me a sign. Here's the thing. Things show up in our life every single day. The train of opportunity, if you're at a train station, the train of opportunity stops in front of us. The door opens, and then we look, I don't think that's the right train. The doors close and it moves on. We don't know. We don't know when that next train of opportunity is going to stop in front of us. We don't know when that door is going to open. You've got to be willing to step on the train. So set the intentions on what you want to create for yourself. Create that vision. I mean, one of the things, the first thing, and I didn't even realize it was a coaching session. We were just chatting, Resh. But when he created his cone of honor is givers. God is our CEO. Impossible is nothing. Visionary leaders. Excellence in all we do. Results focused. We lead by examples and serve with all your heart. Okay, that's a codified vision that he created. You all have an opportunity, if you think about this, you embrace that vision, you can achieve some amazing things. So how did I start? This is a long answer to a quick question. How did I start? I started because I was open. I wanted something. I was coachable. I still am coachable. I was coachable to seeing how things could happen. I was open to receiving a different way of looking at it. Now, what happened? Yes. Did I build multiple 8-figure businesses? Yes. Have I had a dream from when I was 22 years old and I first listened to one of Tony's and I was sitting there, yes. I was listening to one of Tony Robbins' cassette tapes on my way to my first job interview. In fact, I had a job interview. It was 5 hours away. I had to leave at like 3 in the morning to get there in time for the interview. And I got there and was listening to Tony Robbins the whole time. There was no way that I wasn't going to get hired for that job. Please know this. Just because I'm an entrepreneur today and because I mentor entrepreneurs today doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur, which means that you act as if that business that you're working for is your company. You stop asking for handouts. You create value. Through creating value, you create opportunity. You create opportunity and rewards for the company, and in turn, you get rewarded. Whether it's rewarded in compensation, you get rewarded in the knowing that you're doing things the right way, that you're operating the right way, and then your side hustle over the next 5 to 10 years or so can create amazing blessings in yours and others' lives. So that's how I got started.
Wow. So a very long answer to a very simple question, but dude, I got so many things from that. I got so much from that. Guys, how many of you are finding value? Type in value. Oh, see the chat flow, man. Crazy value, man. Like, for me, I think the most amazing things are 2 things that you said. You still have the bike you bought when you're 14 years old. And number two, everything, I'm going to reframe myself. Everything happens on intention and purpose. I think that's very, very powerful for me. So, David, I want to ask you a question. Very, very, I, I love how you say that, you've always succeeded. And, David, I see similarities because for me, it's the same. I've had this intention, this purpose in my heart, in my mind since I was a small boy. Whatever I set my mind to, I'd achieve, right? But how do you advise somebody who doesn't really have that? Like they're in their 20s and they're like, nah, man, my life's been a mess. I really don't have that. Like I'm different, right? Like, how do I start having that mindset? Like, yeah, so
You,
many people are like that. So what do you do?
you start, and actually, I can't say that. In my mind, I've always achieved.
Yeah.
Okay. In reality, I've probably failed more than most everyone else. Okay. And I'll give you an example. I was having success. I was in the top of the game. I was featured in magazines as one of the young guns of franchising. I was invited opportunity to speak on stage. And at that time, I started having inner turmoil. And when we have inner turmoil and we lose faith, faith in ourselves, faith in God, we start wondering, and all of a sudden things can self-sabotage. We allow that to happen. And so, not only did I go broke, I went hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Okay. And once I regained faith, once I regained belief, once I remembered who is my pilot, who is my CEO, who's my guardian, everything literally on a dime changed just like that overnight. In fact, my TED Talk will be coming out hopefully in the next 2 weeks, where I tell this story. I tell the story of that transformation. I tell that story on how 30 days can change everything. The beginnings of my story are in that a chapter in the book. And if anyone wants to hit me up on Instagram, Real David Asarnow, I'm more than happy to give them a link or give you a link that you can share with them, so that way they can read it. But I actually turned that story into a TED Talk. Why? Because one of the things that I realized, it's who you collaborate with, the team that you create around yourself. So it's not competition. I want you to remember this. There is no competition. Now you can look at it that way, but how do we collaborate? Iron sharpens iron. You need to surround yourself with people who are achieving. You need to surround yourself with people who are operating at a high level. Why? It gives you that guidepost. It gives you that lighthouse that you can focus in on and see exactly where you need to go.
I love that. I love that. So again, guys, if you are, my question very simply was, if I don't have that, what do I do? Find that lighthouse. Surround yourself with people who are achieving higher than yourself, right? Oh man, it's so important, guys. You see, a lot of y'all know this, but how many of y'all really do this? It's so important. And so when I set out to actually, David, I want to tell them this story, man. See, when I set out to start out Team Resh and everything, like I knew I needed somebody, all right? But hey, man, I was looking around, and I was like, can't find nobody. And, I really, dude, like my mom actually prayed. And dude, I don't know whether you know this. I think I told you maybe. I was talking to Clement. And she came with Clement, and she was like, Clement, I pray that he finds somebody like a brother who can actually mentor him and to really guide him. And she said this to Clement, and I think it was 2 days later or something where Clement actually introduced, like, um, introduced. I think he introduced me to you. So that
We
was
got
so
on
magical.
a Zoom call. Yeah, we got on a Zoom call.
We got on a Zoom call together. And guys, let me share with you, right? Like that first meeting, it was so crazy. It was nuts. Like he was telling me, Resh, have you read this book? I was like, yeah. Resh, do you know Vern Harnish? I was like, yes, I just saw him. And everything, it was like, whoa. David, do you remember that?
I do remember it. Yes, I do.
Oh man, it was so divine, so crazy. And guys, everything happens on intention. Everything happens on purpose. So powerful. So David, I have a question to ask you. How did you get the opportunity to train for Tony Robbins?
How did I?
Yeah. Like what happened and how did that all line up to actually be? So guys, for those of y'all who don't know, he's one of the chief trainers of Business Mastery, right?
Well, I used to be. It's now no longer. So
Yeah.
when Chet Holmes and Tony
Yep.
Robbins were partners, they had a business called Business Breakthroughs International.
Yep.
So I was one of the business mastery speakers, coaches, and trainers.
Mm.
And Chet did pass away, and that's actually once Chet passed away is when I started my business. In fact, many of the team members that work for speakers for Tony Robbins work for me today. So my company, four of the leaders work for Tony and Chet as well at the same back then. So how did that happen? So I was a CEO of my company, my franchise company that you mentioned. We were ranked the top 15 hot franchise by Entrepreneur Magazine. You know, we had some momentum, but I knew I wanted something more. I knew that you'll hear about it in my TED Talk, so I don't want to ruin the story. I knew that I wanted something more, and for some reason, here's what happened. I was given an opportunity when I was the CEO of my franchise company as the young gun of franchising to speak in front of close to 1,000 people. First time. I was so excited. It was like, I remember from listening to Tony Robbins and then seeing Tony when I was 23 years old in person in Atlanta in a small room. This is obviously back in 1991, 1992. Okay, long time ago. Small room. And I said, one day I want to be on that stage. One day I want to be able to impact people's lives like that. When I got that opportunity to be on stage, I got nervous. I got scared. I felt like a complete failure, and here's why. I put I did a PowerPoint. I put the PowerPoint slide on. I was in front of a lectern, one of those, podiums. And I sat there and I read my damn slides. I got nervous. And here's what I said. Never again will that happen. Never again will I not be prepared. Never again will I do that. So I invested probably about $175,000 in coaching and training at that point in time. I took every speaker training course I could take. I hired personal mentors and coaches in order to be able to teach me. In fact, here's how I became there. So I was at a speaker boot camp in Las Vegas. And the people who were putting on the speaker boot camp and training invited this gentleman, his name's Ted Miller, and we're still friends to this day. So invited Ted, who was Tony's vice president vice president over their webinar division at the time. And he was speaking to all these speakers, and he asked this question. He said, how many of you have ever been on one of Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes webinars? In this room of about 100 people, I'm the only person who raised my hand. He asked me a couple of questions. He actually remembered my company, remembered my story, and we started talking. And he said to me, why don't you come be a speaker for us? You can make, during the week, you speak on weekends at events. You could speak for us doing webinars during the week. And I said, I appreciate the opportunity, but thank you. I'm going to focus in on my own thing. It was harder focusing on my own thing, becoming a speaker out of nowhere. I had success as a CEO, but I didn't. It was harder. It was harder than I ever imagined. It was one of the hardest things that I ever had done. And I kept in touch with Ted. So I reached out 3 months later when things weren't happening yet at the level that I wanted to. I said, what can it hurt? Remember, people show up in our lives. The question is, do we take that opportunity? I didn't take the opportunity, and I wondered, how can I resurrect that opportunity? How can I recreate that opportunity? Because it was a dream of mine when I was young, and my ego got in the way. Write that down, EGO. My ego got in the way of saying yes. So you got to say yes more than you say no. So I called Ted up, and he was actually transitioning out of that position, but he introduced me to the person who was in charge, and they gave me an opportunity. In fact, they hired about 7 speakers out of that event, ended up training everyone together, and I failed. I failed miserably. In fact, I'm surprised they gave me an opportunity to stick around, because in that first 3 weeks, I pretty much sold 0. So if you think about what it costs to get someone on a webinar, what it costs the money, and then the opportunity that potentially could be lost if someone didn't move forward and invest in that training, not just money, the relationship that they get to build with that client. But here's what happened. Something clicked. I not only embraced the system that they were doing, I took my own personality, my own story, and put it in there. And all of a sudden, within 90 days, I went from being the worst to their top closer, increasing the close rate by about 64%. Okay, that's huge. When you're looking at, on average, when I'd have people on a webinar, I would have anywhere between 40 and 65% on average that would move forward and invest in their business, and invest in their life, and invest in the success that they had. So how did I become a speaker? It's funny. I ran into Chet and Ted a few months later at SANG, Speakers Authors Networking Group. Tony was one of the founders of that with Chet. And I ran into Chet in the hallway, and Chet and I started talking. And first thing he's like, "Your website sucks." And it did. And then he said, "You should come work for us." It was, I mean, seriously, it was multiple times that Chet and Ted both said to me I needed to come do work with them. And it was really great, because I got the opportunity to go speak live, to deliver the business mastery. If you've ever been at Tony Robbins event, I delivered that business mastery training. And I got to do it live. I got to do it via webinar, and it was absolutely amazing. So that's how I became a speaker with Tony.
Wow, absolutely amazing, man. So, David, we don't have much time left, so I have one more question for you. All right, very powerful question. Guys, how many of y'all believe in miracles? Type in miracles if y'all believe in miracles. Could you tell us? We don't have much, as in we have about 10 minutes or so left, right? And I have one very, very powerful question to ask you, man. Tell us about about one of the biggest failures that you've had, and how a miracle came to pass in your life.
Which of my failures? Good question. I mean, the biggest failure, I think I actually already brought it up, was when I had everything. I had more money in the bank than I could ever imagine. And I pissed it all away. I lost sight of what was important. And the miracle is that I have a wife that believes in me sometimes more than I believed in myself. That she saw the greatness in me even when I didn't see the greatness in myself. And she supported and encouraged me every step along the way. And it was the times that were challenging were not that she ever lost faith in me. It was I lost faith and belief in myself, and I forgot was important. So the miracle is who you surround yourself with, who you attract into your life. And then when I started implementing that process, and I really leaned into the process that I just lined out with you, and said, "God, connect me with the people that I need to be connected with. Make sure that they show up in my life, that I see that I should be speaking with them, that this is who it needs to be." That when I tied my faith, belief, and acknowledged how amazing the support was from my wife, that's when everything transformed and changed. And that's the miracle.
Yo, dudes, guys, how many of y'all think that's powerful? Type in powerful, man. Type in powerful if y'all feel they're so powerful. Like, like David, like when you just said those words, like I felt a shiver down my spine. I felt, yo. Anyways, like, oh man. Guys, I want to share something. Sometimes the greatest miracle is right in front of your eyes. The greatest miracle is in your children. The greatest miracle is in your partner. Such a powerful reminder. Oh man, such a powerful reminder. And guys, I just wanna, yo, I just wanna say something. David, can you actually talk about? No, no, no. In my spirit, it says something different, man. So I just wanna say something, guys. Can I ask you all a question? How many of you all in this audience right now, right? How many of you all in this audience feel this sense of like, dude, like, this I don't know. Like for me, how I just felt was something just pop in my head. I just felt something pop in my head. I was like, wow. I just had a major epiphany. I don't know how many of y'all really get it, right? But seriously, man, some of y'all have been struggling for so long. Some of y'all have been struggling for so hard over these last few months, you know, forgetting that the biggest miracle sometimes is right in front of you. It's in these people who actually believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And David, I've had that people. And that people have been my mother, has been my father, has been Winnie. And they believe in me more than I can believe in myself. And I'm so grateful for them. I always tell these guys, the people who matter to me are my father, my mother, and Winnie. And they matter so much to me, right? And they believe in me. Even when I don't believe in myself, even if I won't piss everything away. I promise you that. I will not piss everything. Hey, with your guidance, I won't, right? But I promise you, and no matter what happens, these people will believe in me. And hey, guys, how many of you want that peace? How many of you want that joy? How many of you all want that faith that me and David are talking about? How many of you all want that? How many of you all want that? Type in me if you actually want that. Yo, if you all actually want that, I just wanna pray for you guys. I just really, really wanna pray for you guys. And I wanna, just share this quick prayer with you all. And hopefully you guys find peace in my prayer. Hopefully you guys find love in this prayer. Hopefully you guys find a breakthrough in this prayer. All right. Like for me, my God, my Lord is the Lord Jesus Himself, and I want to just pray for you all. All right. Again, I pray that you guys walk closer in your faith. I pray that you guys press towards the mark that is truly, truly important. Like I mentioned, God is my CEO. For me, I put Him first at all times, because when I put Him first, everything else in my life actually transpires. Everything else in my life works. And today, I just want to pray for your man. Right. I just want to pray for you all. And whoever wants to pray with me, y'all can pray with me. Right. But again, this is an open invitation. Guys, I want to share with you something. In life, we all have choice. Right. We all have choice. And hey, man, if you want this to happen in your lives, why not? Right. So I just want to pray, and I just want to say this. Right. I just want to say this. Lord Jesus, I ask you to come into my life. Forgive me of my sins. And I confess Jesus, the Lord of my life. Thank you for saving me. And thank you for drawing me closer. I believe and I confess with my mouth that I am saved. And from this night forward, my life will be changed because of you who is in me. I pray that you cause me to be a miracle. And I pray that you let me create miracles for other people. I believe that miracles do come through, and I believe that they come true because of you who resides in me. All of this I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Guys, if you've said that prayer, right, I just want to share with you that, amen. I believe there's a new you. I believe there's a new breakthrough. I believe that things will turn around. I believe that this year is going to be a miracle for you. That's what I believe. All right. And my friends, I want to share with you something. Over the next few months, you're going to see some absolute miracles come to pass. Today, you heard about the little boy, you heard about Iron Man, you heard about Little Investors Club. And today, you got introduced to David. And my man, I'm telling you, David's going to bring you all some magic. How many of y'all believe in magic? Type in magic, right? David's going to bring to y'all, together, me and David are going to bring to y'all some absolute magic. It's going to be crazy. David, can you give them a sneak peek about your book, The Competition?
Yeah, I read it this weekend again, and it's almost done. I've got it. We've got that one little secret that we're adding to it. It's the book. The Competition is a business parable. It's the stories and the lessons that I learned from my grandfathers growing up. And there's this boy that his name's Charlie, was given the opportunity to have a nice big job, but he wanted something more for himself. And he had to give up that job, enter this competition, leave his college, skip his college graduation in order to go down this road. And if it's sort of like Shark Tank meets the Game of Thrones. It shows how some people view life, that dog eat dog competition, that you need to step on someone else. And Charlie saw a different way, and he introduces that different way in the form of collaboration. And I'll leave it with that. We are going to be launching out a worldwide opportunity for people to collaborate together to achieve their dreams.
Wow, guys, I'm telling you something, guys. This book that he's talking about is going to be revolutionary. When I heard him share about the stuff, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It's not a book, guys. It's like I don't know, it's a game. It's you've never heard of anything like this before. It is completely revolutionary. How many of you are excited for that? Type in excited. Yo, type in excited if you're excited for that.
I'm excited.
Oh, guys, type in excited. If you're excited, type in excited. It's going to be a parable. It's going to be a game. It's going to be something that's going to help you achieve your goals, your biggest dreams, every single thing. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Guys, I'm telling you, I want to share with you all two things. Number one, follow us on the journey. All right, follow us on the journey. Follow my Telegram channel. That's where I post everything, my thoughts, my insights, all of that. I want y'all to follow all the way through Team Resh. I want y'all to be there all the way with me, right? Together, David Asarnow, you're gonna see all these miracles come to pass. It's gonna be crazy. So follow me on Instagram. So do that. And do us a favor, guys. Very, very simple. Listen carefully. Number one, first things first, tag us. Tag us on Facebook, tag us on Instagram, share your best lessons. How many of you are gonna do that? Type in me if you're gonna do that. All right, fantastic. So again, tag us on Facebook or tag us on Instagram. So tag us on Facebook, tag us on Instagram. And very, very simply, hey man, have a blessed night. Have a fantastic week ahead. And I pray that God's goodness will chase you down. Thank you, David. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time off to spend time with my guys. Thank you. God bless you. And I can't wait to see you soon, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yo, that was the song. Let me just play the song for you. David, this is a song. A million views.